recite Surah Al-Kahf on Friday, a light will shine for him between this Friday and the next. Sahih Al-Jami 6470. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself why this surah? Why did the Prophet choose this chapter out of 114 others to be read every week? Today, let's journey together through Surah Al-Kahf to uncover its stories, its lessons, and its divine wisdom. Wisdom that still guides our lives 1400 years later. Surah Al-Kahf, the cave, is the 18th chapter of the Qur'an. Revealed in Makkah, it contains 110 verses filled with guidance, hope, and deep reflection. The Prophet told us that whoever memorizes the first 10 verses, or in some narrations, the last 10 verses, will be protected from the Dajjal, the false Messiah. Sahih Muslim 809. Think about that. The fitna or trial of Dajjal will be one of the greatest tests in human history. Yet this one, Surah offers spiritual armor against it. Why? Because Surah Al-Kahf teaches us how to survive fitna, the trials of faith, wealth, knowledge, and power. These 4 tests appear throughout the surah, through 4 stories that hold timeless lessons for every believer. The first story is where the surah gets its name, Ashab Al-Kahf, the people of the cave. A group of young men living in a time of disbelief and oppression refused to worship idols. Their people mocked them, threatened them, and drove them away. But instead of giving in, they turned to Allah. They left behind their families, their homes, and their comfort, seeking refuge in a cave. And Allah says in the Qur'an, "Indeed, they were youth who believed in their Lord, and we increased them in guidance." Surah Al-Kahf 18:13. Allah rewarded their faith. He caused them to sleep for hundreds of years, protecting them from harm. When they finally woke up, their entire world had changed. Faith had returned, and their story became a sign for generations to come. The lesson that even when you feel alone for standing by your faith, Allah never abandons you. Sometimes, when you leave behind something for the sake of Allah, He replaces it with peace, protection, and honor beyond imagination. The next story tells us about 2 men, one rich, one poor. Allah blessed the rich man with 2 beautiful gardens full of fruits, rivers, and shade. But his wealth made him arrogant. He looked down on the poor man and said, "I am greater than you in wealth and mightier in men." 1834. He even doubted the day of judgment, saying, "I don't think this will ever perish." But one morning, his wealth vanished, his gardens destroyed, his pride shattered. The poor man, who had stayed humble and grateful, reminded him, "Why didn't you say when you entered your garden, 'It is as Allah wills'? There is no power except with Allah." 1839. This story reminds us that wealth is not a sign of Allah's favor. It is a test. The fitna of wealth blinds hearts faster than anything else. True success lies not in what we own, but in how we use what Allah has given us. The third story is one of the most mysterious and profound stories in the Qur'an, the journey of Prophet Musa alayhi salam and Khidr. Musa alayhi salam, one of the greatest prophets, was once asked, "Who is the most knowledgeable person on earth?" He replied, "I am." But Allah reminded him that knowledge belongs only to him. So Allah sent Musa alayhi salam on a journey to meet Khidr, a man whom Allah had granted special wisdom. During their travels, Khidr did 3 things that shocked Musa alayhi salam. He damaged a boat took the life of a young boy and repaired a wall for people who refused to offer them food. Musa alayhi salam questioned each action, but later Khidr explained their wisdom. The boat belonged to poor fishermen, and damaging it saved it from being seized by a king. The boy would have grown into a tyrant, so Allah replaced him with a righteous child. And the wall hid treasure for orphans, which Allah wanted to protect until they matured. This story teaches us humility, that what we see as loss or pain may be part of Allah's greater plan of mercy. Sometimes, unanswered prayers or unexpected hardships are actually protection in disguise. The final story is about Dhul-Qarnayn, a righteous and powerful ruler. He traveled to the east and the west, not for conquest, but for justice. He helped people, punished wrongdoers, and spread goodness wherever he went. When he reached a people oppressed by the tribes of Gog and Magog, Yajuj and Majuj, they asked for his help. Dhul-Qarnayn didn't demand wealth or praise. Instead, he said, "The power my Lord has given me is better." 1855. He built a massive iron barrier between the people and the corruptors, showing that true leadership is not about ego, but responsibility. The lesson here is clear. Power, like wealth, is a test. Use it for justice or it will destroy you. These 4 stories aren't random. They're connected. Each one represents a fitna, a trial that we all face in different forms. Faith, the people of the cave; wealth, the 2 gardens; knowledge, Musa and Khidr; power, Dhul-Qarnayn. Through these, Allah shows us how to stay firm when tested. Faith protects us from disbelief, humility protects us from pride, gratitude protects us from arrogance, and sincerity protects us from corruption. This is why Surah Al-Kahf is so important to recite every Friday, because it renews your spiritual shield every week. So next Friday, when you open your Qur'an, don't just read, reflect. Think about the youth who stood for truth, the man who stayed humble, the prophet who sought wisdom, and the leader who ruled with justice. And remember, every test in your life, no matter how painful, is a test Allah already prepared you for through His words. As Allah says near the end of the surah, whoever hopes to meet his Lord, let him do righteous deeds and associate none with the worship of his Lord. 1811. May Allah allow us to live by the lessons of Surah Al-Kahf, protect us from the trials of this world, and grant us the light that guides us from one Friday to the next. Subhanallah. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more reminders that strengthen your faith